Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Robert Adams, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Squadron Leader Andrea Haitley. This evening we are honoured to acknowledge Brigadier Grant Motley, Chief of Staff Headquarters, New Zealand Defence Force, accompanied by Lieutenant Colonel Alastair Mitchell and the delegation from the New Zealand Command and Staff College. We also warmly welcome Flight Lieutenant Richard Caesar Thwaites, retired, representing the Air Force Association. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem. For visitors who are able to do so, you may now please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll tell the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
remember and pay tribute to Flying Officer Henry Edward Williams. Henry Williams was born in Sydney on the 19th of November 1918, the son of John and Minnie Williams. His father worked in the mines. In 1926, his mother deserted the family and the couple divorced. Henry was fond of swimming, tennis and hiking, and after leaving school, he went on to become a tyre repairer in northern Sydney. Having served for 18 months in the militia with the 33rd Fortress Company, he enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 1st of February 1942, aged 23. Williams trained as an air gunner and on the 21st of May 1942 embarked for overseas service from Melbourne, arriving in Canada the following month. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, air gunners, and flight engineers who throughout the course of the war joined Royal Air Force squadrons or Australian squadrons based in Britain. Months of training with the Royal Canadian Air Force followed, and in March 1943, Williams was commissioned as a pilot officer. The next month, he left for the United Kingdom and further specialist training. In September, he was promoted to flying officer and spent 3 months with the Royal Air Force's No. 44 Squadron. On the 25th of November, he was posted to No. 463 Squadron, RAAF. As part of Bomber Command, it flew 4-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bomber. On the night of the 3rd of May, 1944, Bomber Command launched major raid on the military camp Mailly-le-Camp in France. Flying Officer Williams was on board ULT-2, which took off from the Royal Air Force Base at Waddington. The raid was successful in destroying the ammunition stores and trenches at the camp. Of the 17 aircraft that No. 463 Squadron committed to the mission, 5 failed to return, including Williams's Lancaster. It was shot down soon after bombing the target, crashing into the ground at Marigny-le-Grand in early hours of the 4th of May. There were no survivors. Those killed in the crash with Flying Officer Henry Williams were fellow Australian Flying Officer Graham Fryer and British Airmen Flight Sergeants Edward Stone, John Ward and Joseph Healy, and Sergeants Robert Gracie and Kenneth Owen. After the war, the remains of Commonwealth servicemen buried in Europe were examined and identified where possible. The bodies of Williams and his crew could not be identified. They were buried in a communal group of graves in Poivre Civilian Cemetery, some 3 miles west of the crash site. Henry Williams was 25 years old. Flying Officer Henry Williams' name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, alongside almost 40,000 others who died during the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flying Officer Henry Edward Williams, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.